Welcome to Insight Check, where we unpack our previous week's adventure. This week we have a special guest, the author of the adventure. I'll do intros in a second. We are missing two of our players. Joel is skiing.
She's got into a terrible accident and has fallen down a hill. I'm so sorry, Romain.
And Ari just had life, because sometimes life happens.
He's a very busy doctor.
Yeah. But we have two of the. We've got two. I was just counting. We have two of the players, one of the DM, and we have our adventure author for tonight. So we'll intro this way. Mike, would you mind introducing yourself, your character?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind at all. So, I'm Mike. I played Braddock Barleybrook, level 10 evocation wizard. Braddock is a newcomer to the whole Mispin situation, but I think he seemed to do all right.
He did great. We'll definitely talk about how great he did. I'll do two jobs tonight. I'll ask myself questions, ask your questions, talk about myself. That's how it works, isn't it? Yeah. I am Donna or Madonna. I answer to both. And last week I DM'd this adventure. I also have a player in character in other modules called Zina. She is awesome. You'll see her next adventure.
Nice. I'm Alec. I play Razez Juniper Snap, the big scythe-wielding cleric, and the one who, for whatever reason, was the one everyone wanted to throw things on last session.
And my name is Johan, and I'm the author of the game last week, Signs of Corruption.
Yeah. This is the Final Fantasy emote for show.
So Johan, I'm going to ask the first question of you, and that's about the adventure itself and what was its inspiration. And by the way, the reason I'm leaning forward is this is one of our audience questions. What was its inspiration? Were there any reasons you chose the monsters you did? Did you build the adventure around the monsters or around the story?
My idea of writing adventure is just more like keep spitballing and then see which one that sticks. And so I don't really have an inspiration, but about the monsters, if you watch the anime Full Metal Alchemist, yeah, that's
okay. All right. So we're going for a Show Tucker moment here. I think. This is reference.
No, I have no idea.
It's like the most. It's like one of the most popular memes out of Full Metal Alchemist because this episode was genuinely messed up.
Right.
So the concept of alchemy in Full Metal Alchemist, right, is you put two things together, put the elements, they make something.
Yeah.
And there are laws alchemists can't do. One is human transmutation in any way, shape, or form. That's why it's unique that Full Metal, the main characters have conducted human transmutation on themselves. Anyway, beside the point, they meet a guy who is really, really nice. His name is Shaw Tucker, and they meet him and his daughter Nina and their dog. He transmutes the dog and the child, and it's horrific. And
oh my god, that is horrific!
It is the most messed up episode. It's one of the most messed up episodes of the thing.
Oh my goodness!
And it's like a dark meme that everyone references. Right. So I can now see the vibe he is going for here. Yeah. Okay. I see the vision now.
That's for the monsters.
So then, did you start with that concept of transmuting the monsters and then figure out how we would get to them, or
no? It's more like.
Or did you just kind of go around and around?
Yeah, just
circles?
go around and around. Keep throwing ideas. The typical when you watch a movies, mad scientists create living weapons, and then I just combine both of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, cool. I hadn't actually come across these monsters either, so when I had to do descriptions, I was like, I don't know. Luckily, I could certainly. You well described the the guy who was in the dungeon. He was really easy to describe, but I didn't know anything about the aberrations at the ends. Yeah.
They're newer, right? They're from Fizban?
Yeah, from this one,
Fizban's,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
The Dragon Book.
Right. Yeah. Okay. This is. I'll do this one. No, I'll do it a bit later. Sorry, I'm just reading the questions and thinking about what sequence to do it in. All right, I'm going to ask myself a question.
Okay. Oh, do you want me to play?
Do you want to read this?
Wait,
read
which-
this second one.
The second
There
one.
we go. You can.
I'm playing Donna now.
Yeah. I can ask myself
So,
questions, but.
I'm host Donna, DM Donna. How did you find DMing the adventure, knowing it was written by someone in our community? Was there extra pressure knowing that, Johan would be watching? Did you talk to Johan about it at all before running the adventure?
I ran the adventure in exactly the same way as I run any adventure. I read it through. I've got it here. Like I marked it up. I put my highlights in the spots.
Donna does notes.
of places. Well, like when you read it, when you're like DMing and you're like, there's all these things that I need to hit. I need to remember to tell them this, and this, and it's embedded in paragraphs. So I always mark up the things I need to most hit because it's usually just a couple of words.
Yeah.
So I marked it up. I checked that I understood the flow and that I understood the points I had to hit, which was get them the quest, get down to get the information from the creature, make sure they knew that they needed to go into the sewers, do some stuff in the sewers, make sure they could find the last room. They were I needed to hit those points. And that's all that needed to happen. I didn't the detail is good around it, but as long as I can hit those. And sometimes I read an adventure and I can't figure out that flow if they're badly written. Yeah. You're like, I don't know what the intent is here. And then the other thing I always do is try to think about if there's characters, what is their motivation and what would they do in this situation when the players throw weird things into it to understand why, how would they react when it doesn't happen like it's written.
Yeah. Weird things. Such
weird things that
let's leave it for later.
players
I'm
do.
sure it'll be addressed in a question.
And I didn't contact you at all because I did all of that and it was fine. I didn't feel like I needed to ask you anything. But I've never also, emailed any adventure writer to say, what did you mean by this? Which is how it should be. I should be able to pick it up, understand it. So no, I mean, I could have, but I didn't feel like I needed to.
Yeah.
I hope you weren't going, is Donna going to ask me questions? But I didn't feel any pressure of running it of somebody who I've played games with or in a community because I'm this is an adventure. I'm running an adventure. But also, I don't tend to
do that anyway.
I don't tend to do that anyway. But yeah, it was easy to, I thought it was easy to follow and understand what you intended. I'm going to throw another question back to you though, and I will we have some for everybody, of course. Did anything happen that you were what on earth is going on there? How did the team get there? What is Donna doing? Did she even read this thing? No, I mean you don't have to be that extreme, but
quite happy with it actually, especially for Adventures League. You want that DMs out everywhere just going to pick up the module and then they understand it. Quite easy to run. So that's if it's easy for DM to run, then I'm quite happy with that.
But was there anything where you're I didn't think that would happen?
Yes.
Yeah.
When you go to the prison, to the jailhouse, and Ari decide to stay behind. There is only one sentence there in the module that the quest giver will say there will be an expert coming.
Yeah.
And Ari picks that up, that hint, and thinks, okay, I will be that expert.
Yeah, I was really surprised when he's like, the experts come back. Oh, okay. What do I do with that?
The purpose I put that sentence in to give some sort of a time pressure, so they don't think, they don't want to. I don't want players to like, okay, I'll wait for like a week.
evening,
Oh, yeah.
fall.
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The way I interpreted the, the expert is coming is also why they needed to lock this thing away and not, potentially
Kill it.
kill it. So because like somebody was going to come in, like that's why it was locked and guarded. But yeah, I mean, I don't think players tend to decide to wait for it. Just sit around and like.
I mean, some players do.
Eventually.
I mean,
Not in Adventures League much.
Usually not.
Yeah.
if they can get away with it, like, is there any reason we can't wait till the evening for this? And if sometimes it goes, I know it's sorry, yeah.
Well, I will say that's like, okay, I had a plan in my head of like, oh, okay, so this is like a stealth mission. We got to do the Mission Impossible thing, get into the jail somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe I can cast invisibility and
Yeah.
someone can kind of go in and
Yeah.
unlock the doors from the inside. Like, I had all these things in my head, and then I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna go talk to the guards then.
I
That's
think-
fine too. That's fine too.
You had all this in your head, and then Ari just went, I'm Polly, what was it? Was it literally just Polly? My head was remembering Polly Pocket, but I don't
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking that as well. So maybe he did say Polly Pocket. Otherwise, how did we get that in our heads?
I know this isn't the question here, but your question to Johan got me curious. Have you seen like, because this isn't the first thing you've written, right? You've written you've written like a whole, like, have you seen other people play, like not as a player, but like as a spectator? Have you observed other people running your modules before? Not really.
No.
So what was that?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same.
What's that experience like? Like, is it weird to not be at the table and like this is your adventure, but it's like you have no participation in it other than a viewer? Like, how does that feel?
There are adventures my adventures being run out there and put in on YouTube, but
Okay.
it's just it's not in English, so I don't understand. So this is my first adventure that
It would
run
be
in
funny to
English.
watch, wouldn't it?
Are they like what, in German, in French, Spanish?
in Mandarin.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. 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 Interesting. Like, I'm just, yeah, because I can't imagine like the effort the DMs must already be putting in to translate things. That means they can't read box text. Anyway,
But Alec, have you watched people play your modules? You must have.
no, I've never.
No.
I've only written the one. Remember?
You've only got the one?
Yeah, I've only written the one.
Oh.
I've
I
run.
mean, I've played it, but
Yeah.
I thought you'd written others that I hadn't
Nah,
played.
nah.
Right.
I've run that on like I've run that online for other people, etc.
Yeah.
And I've run
Yeah.
other non-AL things I've written on streams as well. So in a way, I can watch myself back, but
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
but you can't
watched
watch a DM
someone
pick it up.
else do
So,
the
Alec,
thing.
would you say that you wrote one and then went into seclusion?
But
And Mike, I mean, have you watched people run your modules?
A couple of times, not like on a live stream setting,
Yep.
but I've played my own modules where other DMs were running them. And yeah, the urge to backseat drive, it drives me insane. I can't handle it. I can't. It makes me so upset that I can't just be like, oh, but just do this way.
I've never even played Seclusion. You know what I mean?
You should play it. It's really good.
Yeah, we should run it for you. It's a good one. So as players, so let's say we've got we did have 3 acts because we had 2 breaks. In the first section, was it clear to you what you were, like what you were, what I mean, apart from the fact I've given you a quest, what the intent was with going to find that creature?
The first one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I figured that one of the things that was up for me, it made sense because, like, yeah, we have to see what it is and therefore follow clues from there.
Yep.
I assumed that I assumed that because it was alive, like, you know, as far as we knew alive, it would be better to go look at that rather than just Sherlock Holmesing around trying to find where it came from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made sense to me. Like, I was already kind of theorizing all these little branches and parts that we could have done. But the general gist of, like, yeah, you need to get into this basement, figure out what this creature is or where it came from, and then backtrack it to the next bit of the adventure. That's kind of your classic
Yeah.
setup. That's very straightforward, yeah.
Yeah, maybe it had a tag. Maybe it had a collar that says "If lost, return."
Well, that's kind of why I was like spamming detect magic in every room.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm like, oh, can we pick up the trail? Is there like traces of this magical transmutation energy that I could follow? You know, so that's kind of where I was going.
Do you both remember what you thought when you first heard the description of it, with it, you know, being a human with like scaly skin and, you know, sewn together?
I think, if not, like, I think initially what my brain was going for is because the last time Rosez was on was episode 1, which was the shifter, community.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
I think,
Oh, yeah.
you know, that's why I believe I clarified, like, so you mean like as if it was
Yeah.
meshed together because it's like, is this just like some sort of polymorphing, shape-shifting kind of creature that's gone
Yeah.
berserk or something like that? That's me trying to live in the moment. And I think that's what I was like imagining Rosez's thing is. But I must also say I did read the end of this adventure because I had to write my
Oh, yeah, right.
subsequent
Okay,
one.
right.
So I read the end, so I have some idea, but I
Yep.
didn't read the beginning.
Yeah, right. That must have been a funny thing to do. Just read the
Yeah.
wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I read the break, like the summary, and I just needed to know where the professor was. Not here is the answer.
Well, it's funny you mentioned because I knew that I was going to play this one, so I deliberately was like, I don't want to know anything about it. I'm just going to go in completely blind and just react as I would in the moment as a player. And it turns out my reaction is cast detect magic every time. But what I kind of got from the whole rampage thing was like, okay, yeah, clearly there's some creature that has been let loose in the city. I didn't know it was a human, but when we got there, I was like, okay, well that makes sense. All right. And then when you revealed that it was like too far gone, that we couldn't save it, I actually did get a little sad.
Oh, I know. It was hard to say, actually.
Yeah.
That, you know, that creature's too far gone. When you
His
did.
Victor.
Oh, his name was Victor, wasn't it? The Victor was too far gone. Yes.
But I also immediately forgot that you said my plot
Friend.
book was that my friend was missing.
Yeah, I
Immediately
forgot that as well.
Yeah, I remembered for both of you.
My character
Oh,
doesn't
no,
have
I
friends.
remembered when we were talking to Victor, I'd remembered, and I was mindful that this might come up as a topic of conversation and that I might need to, as a DM, to address it, but I forgot it by the time we got to the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somebody said something about your friend missing, and I'm like, oh, it could be one of your friends. And I'm like, oh no, that could be really bad. Oh, I don't want to do that to him. You know, all the things that happen in a DM's head at once.
But the other thing is like Braddock, like in character, he's this kind of like hedge wizard that just goes from town to town. He doesn't really stay in one place for very long. So if he had a friend, it would be someone he knew for maximum like a couple of days.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
not a big deal.
So yeah, someone went missing.
Yeah.
You mourn him as you flip through his spellbook. Oh, it wasn't his spellbook, right? Sorry.
I was very happy to have a spell book, and thank you for writing one in.
I was going to ask about that. So were the spells all good ones that you needed?
To be honest, I already like had 80% of them, but like Fly, definitely gonna
Right.
scribe that one. And there was another one as well that I really wanted. So I will spend some downtime and I will have a couple little extra tools in the toolbox.
But I feel like that's the case with most spell books, right? Like most of it is like the usual, probably already have it, but then this small percentage of like, yes, give me that.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at the list properly. I gave you the piece of paper, and then I didn't like pay attention to it later on. I'm like, oh, because my girl Zina's going to play with Braddock.
Yeah. Well, we
So
can-
yeah, they're definitely getting together later to do some scribing because she could always do some extra spells.
no, you're very welcome.
Yeah, good. Thinking about the adventure as a whole, and again, this is an audience question. Do you have any theories about what's going on collectively yet, or is this not a good question because you actually know what's going on collectively?
Isn't that like, it's not a good question because I wrote
the end?
not the tying all of the things
Yeah,
together.
right. Okay.
So, Mike, what do you think is?
Well, this is the thing. I'm gonna play what you wrote.
Yeah.
So I don't want to know. So I don't want you to elaborate too much about it.
I'm not going to say anything. I'm going
What I will say is, yeah, the general kind of through line of magical calamity. Even in my adventure, the Broken Stronghold, there was a corruption of the weave in the village, that kind of thing. It all seems to be pointing towards certainly some kind of magic-based conspiracy, which I'm very interested to see how that plays out in the coming modules.
I realized, Donna, you're the only one here on this panel who hasn't written for this series.
Yeah, I
this
know.
might be a question for you. Pretending to be.
Yeah.
If I pretend to be moderator Donna again, DM Donna.
Well, and
player
also
Donna.
people who don't like, I play tested Mitch's adventure as well. So actually, Zina
Yeah.
has played Mitch's
Yeah.
first adventure.
Yeah. So Zina, what do you think? What do you
Zina,
think's
do you know
going
what?
on?
Zina totally has thoughts on what's going on
Yeah.
because she is a war magic strategist. Like
Yeah.
that's her thing. So she will be coming up with lots of theories
Yeah.
and like putting all the jigsaw puzzles together. Donna is like in the moment going, hey, that was a fun adventure. Then we did this. Then I ran a thing and hasn't put any brain cells
Yeah.
into actually figuring out what's going on globally. I will get to the end and go, wow, that was what was happening.
I
Because
believe you're playing number 6, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I know that my calendar's blocked out and I'm playing the next one and then some. I don't know.
Okay.
It'll happen when it happens.
Yeah.
I will put some thought into it because Zina will definitely. I will put some thought into like patching some stuff together because Zina would care very much. Yeah, about.
I'm interested to see my wizard and your wizard. Like, will they butt heads? Will they get along? You know, is it a hat on a hat to have two wizards, but different specializations? So that could lead to some fun things.
Yeah, I already know the answer to that, but we'll see. We'll see in game. Yeah. Kind of in a bit of a similar vein, like these first 3 adventures. How did it feel going from a musical to a kind of gothic body horror through to forced human experimentation as like really different styles of adventure? Or even how did it feel going from a musical to a regular adventure? There aren't very many musicals. We need more of them.
Could be more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Technically, like I believe Mitch said, to his knowledge, it's the first musical, but Undermountain the Musical is technically a musical,
definitely.
although it doesn't ask players to sing. There is like within the adventure music. But speaking,
There's a conference module that like a convention.
that's pros and cons.
Yeah, I'm sure I sang in that one.
But yeah, but
Maybe-
you could have
maybe-
just, but you could have just sung for that.
I don't know if I needed to write poems. Yeah.
Undermountain the Musical is just memorable to me because that's where there are we're houses.
Yeah, the warehouses. That is such a good pun.
But sorry, I'm getting musical to, because I didn't play the
No,
second one.
yeah.
Musical to this, like, I think the musical one was the most stressful for me, just because, like, no matter how much charisma I would have dumped into Rizez, I had to, like, be creative and, like, come up with lyrics and stuff like that. So that was uniquely challenging in that way. But for Rizez, I feel like the going from this adventure to another kind of adventure felt pretty much the same, mostly because he ended up being long-suffering somehow in both. Slightly long-suffering.
All right, we're working our way with some questions kind of towards the, final battle. So I have a little question and then a big question, and then I will check for questions on the stream. So if you have questions, I'll check for the stream ones in a second. Funny question for the table. If your character could have an unusually shaped sending stone like the snail, what shape would it be?
I
Oh,
have to think about that one. Could it be like one of those like Bluetooth ones that go on?
But you're a hedge wizard. It doesn't go with the aesthetic.
No, it doesn't really fit. I don't know. Yeah, Braddock is really just kind of, your nuts and bolts, salt of the earth kind of guy. He is, though, the son of a brewer. And
Okay.
his lineage is Barley Brook Ale. So I don't know what brewers use, but some kind of brewing tool, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay. The only thing what would Rizez want? I don't know. Like, the first thing that came to mind, which is kind of ridiculous, is a belly button. He has very nice abs and likes showing it.
Yeah,
off.
right.
So like accentuate it with a little belly button.
I think the cleverness of the snail sending stone was that as a DM, I knew that I would be able to read out that box text and that people would go, "What?" and want to go look at it. Because that was like, it had to happen
Yeah.
that they would notice that I said something
Off.
that existed in the room, and that they would go, "Hey, she said there was a thing. We should go look at that thing." Because sometimes, again, like the descriptions aren't very strong, or and you're hearing so much stuff as a player. You're like, "Oh, I missed all that detail." But like a table with some books and a stone snail, they
And upon picking up,
beeline.
and then upon picking up the snail, your description of it, the snail says, or something like that. And the rest of us go, "I'm sorry, what?"
so it was inspired by One Piece.
Yeah, I called it.
By what?
One Piece.
One Piece, the Dandan Mushi. I think it's like some sort of walkie-talkie in their world, and it's all the walkie-talkie in their world is snail shaped.
I
Right.
believe the snails are actually psychic. Like, like in that world. I don't actually watch One Piece, but I've watched the live action.
God, I'm missing
really
all the
like
cultural
them.
references.
I actually again, I haven't seen the anime because it's really far too long for me, but I enjoy the live action. Would recommend.
Yeah, right.
Very nice use of practical effects and stuff. Snail phones.
Right.
Snail phones.
So the snails actually talk to you. So when Edgar, the professor, or the person behind the snails, try to talk to Edgar, screaming. So I imagine that the snails actually screams towards the players or the character.
Ah. I was a little unsure whose voice it was meant to be in, so I played it kind of pretty straight. Yeah. So you've just given us a couple of examples there of like, popular culture.
Anime
that you
reference.
draw. It doesn't have to be anime. Like, do you use that a lot when you're writing? Like other adventures, or was this specific?
Just this.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.
I will say, in one of your adventures, it's like Goku's Nimbus Cloud is the carpet of flying, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So I like that one.
That was an adventure that was never released. So,
Ah.
so
Still got the item, so I think
that
I'm
item is
happy.
premium.
Oh,
It's like one of
I
a
feel
kind.
like I played that as well. The Nimbus, the carpet of flying one.
Yeah.
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 Times.
All right, so getting towards the final battle with our great big dragon.
It's not even that big in the like the actual creature, is that actually the size of the creature?
It's a
It's a huge creature.
it's a
Oh,
huge
it really
creature.
is huge. Okay.
Yeah, it was. I mean, getting through the door was a problem. Remember, it is a huge creature that doesn't have anywhere near as many hit points as we thought it would.
Let the man hold his creation.
And clearly, the thing that happened in the game was that Romain fireballed it.
Hedwig did fireball.
Oh,
level
Romain
5.
didn't get a turn,
Yeah.
and Razez didn't get a turn.
Didn't get a
Romain,
turn.
okay, Hedwig fireballed it. You did Steel Wind Strike.
Steel and Strike, best spell in the game.
On. How did you feel about that as players?
In hindsight, maybe I could have. So my initial thought was, I'll finally get to do Fireball because I said in my character
Yeah.
description my favorite
Yeah,
spells are
Fireball.
Fireball, Misty Step, and Fireball.
Then here comes Ari.
I got beaten to the punch, but if I'd rolled slightly higher in initiative, I would be a lot less guilty because I would have just Fireball.
Yeah.
Okay.
But hey.
So we can blame Ari for the immediate.
I mean, not placing blame, but maybe I could have done. I'm literally just like going through the spells in my head. Like, what else could I have cast? And as a level 10 wizard, I have 5th level spell slots, and I get to do my big.
Yeah.
Thing. There's 3 creatures.
Yeah.
So, what would have been funny is if like all 3 had missed because.
Because that's possible.
That would have been funny.
Then it would have just been an epic fail, and we would have continued on. But,
What did you intend? Like, did I just run it a bit low, or is it just like that creature combo and 2 area of effect spells that just kind of wiped everybody out?
Oh, I think it's the area of effect, and also because for a group of level 10, the creature is actually CR6, so it's pretty low. It's more this monster is more like a glass cannon.
Okay, right.
So and the AC is also quite low. So I'm a bit worried when I design the adventure. If a group of level 5 runs this, I want them to not to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
They can still be able to damage the creature, but this creature will hit them hard as well.
I know that some of the folks in our group said that they played. Did they play test with you?
Yeah.
Because I think on our Discord they'd said that when or it might have been in the stream. I can't remember.
It was on Discord, yeah.
Yeah, that they said that it was
Players
actually
said
quite
they were
hard.
like because they were level 5,
Close to level
lower
5, yeah.
levels. They're
Level
like
5,
we
yeah.
struggled. I think this is with the nature of AL, with any D&D really that has like differences in levels, right? Like you have to. It's actually a wide. Tier 2 and Tier 3 is such a wide level range to account for, and it can be incredibly difficult for you to sort of like, as a writer, come up with things that even though there's the scaling, still the vast difference in the power, like the actual power and output of these levels, can make it very hard to write for. And most of us were max level,
Yeah.
despite the fact that we're just 4 of us. We are max level for this tier. So yeah.
and also not just max level, but like I had my wing boots, I had my bits and bobs, all my little items, so it was like plus more than what you would normally expect even for a level 10. But I will say as well, like when my character goes into tier 3,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden it's going to be a small fish in a big pond.
Yeah.
And then I'm back to the bottom again. So, there's some give and take as well.
Yeah. Which is why Ari was like, I'm gonna throw the book at you.
Crank it right up.
He's running the next one, yeah?
Yeah, monsters.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I've got one question from the chat.
Okay.
Um,
Hi, chat.
Hedwig wants to know. So Ari.
Ari is here.
Ari's in the chat.
Wait, no, you have to ask Ari.
He couldn't get home in time to like arrange this, but he could do the chat. He wants to know if you can make spam calls using the snail mobile.
A very Ari question.
It is a very Ari question. I think I'm just double checking now.
What you could do is set up a message spell to automatically say the message based on a trigger, and then have the sending stone send to random other sending stones on a constant loop. No, not really. Mechanically, that doesn't
Mechanically, the answer is no, but I can imagine.
try and like.
I can imagine, like, mechanically no, but I can just also imagine this sort of like just put one snail here in front of like a bunch of other snails and have that relay onto.
We've got a bit of blame Ari going on in the chat as well. Yeah. Ari says, I'd like to tell you about an amazing opportunity that's just crossed my desk.
No, stop. He doesn't get, Edgy doesn't get this airtime.
Okay, fair. Anyway, I don't have any other questions in chat. All right. Oh, so I have two other things, of course. We met Braddock last week as a character. In other insight checks, we've talked to players about the inspiration for their characters. So what's Braddock's inspiration, if any?
Yeah, there really isn't a specific character or like archetype that I can point to, but I will say in the original iteration, the character had an Irish accent, which I wisely decided to omit because I didn't want to embarrass myself and insult an entire country with my version of the accent. But I'll do it a little bit, just to... So my initial character was something more along the lines of like, hello, my name's Braddock, that kind of thing. And that just was immediately like, no, not doing that anymore. But I did come up with like a little backstory, which is that he's a self-taught wizard, son of a brewer, as I mentioned, grew up in Waterdeep, didn't go into the family trade and instead enlisted in the Watchful Order of Magus and Protectors. And he has this mysterious missing eye with magical scarring around it, which in my headcanon is that as a young wizard, he was experimenting with alchemical components that he shouldn't have been messing with.
Right.
And it literally blew up in his face, and now he has this injury that cannot be healed by mundane means. And perhaps someday he'll get like an Ursat's eye or something to chuck in there.
I find it amusing that you call this a headcanon because as your character, this is canon. This is canon.
Well, it's the stuff that's never going to come up in game.
Yeah.
But in my head, this will inform how I play him as someone who, thematically speaking, this whole season is about use of magic. Is magic being misused by certain creatures, and how would a wizard who, in his own past, has misused magic feel about that?
I've got a question from the stream about Braddock. If evocation spells were taken off the list, what would be, actually no, this is actually, this could be for you or your character. What would be your second favourite school of magic?
Abjuration.
Abjuration.
And the reason for abjuration is because you get all the stuff that lets you basically mess with the DM. You got your counter spell, your dispel magic, your banishments. And it's just basically just saying like, no, I'm good. I don't want that to happen.
How did Razez lose their eye?
I don't actually have a story. I just thought it looked cool.
Fair.
Razez's whole, in designing Razez, the whole thing there was, it was a mixture of a couple of ideas. One was that when I made Razez, it was just after season 9, Icewind, or 10, Icewind Dale is season 10.
Yes, it is.
And having previously played Storm King's Thunder and other things, like the Arcane Brotherhood, I was reminded that, oh yeah, the Arcane Brotherhood, they're just around doing evil stuff. And I was like, okay, I want something to do with the Arcane Brotherhood, but I don't particularly like making wizards. I like clerics. So the idea was, I also, at the time, I also was like going through the list of like, what races don't I have? I don't have orc. And I wanted to make the least orky orc I could.
Yeah.
So, Razez, you wouldn't know this because it's only mechanically a thing. Razez has like 10 or 8 strength. He has gauntlets of ogre power. That's why he's That's why he can. That's why the mini can look lithe and skinny and Twinkie, just because like he's not actually strong. I've dumped everything into wisdom and charisma. That's why those stats are so high. I am relying on an item for this. So. Both badass looking, still Twinkie, still still kind of like gruff. And the reason I picked him as well is because he's because he acts as like a bodyguard for the Arcane Brotherhood as like his side, like as his main job, and this is like a side, like magic things, side gig. Cool. I know how to deal with magic.
All right, so I have one last non-module question.
Okay.
So there's a new player's handbook coming out quite soon. For each of you, is there a class or subclass that you're looking forward to playing? And I'll start with Johan.
Ranger.
Ranger?
Ranger is my favorite favorite class.
And is
But
there, have you been paying attention to the changes?
no, I purposely avoid.
Yeah, I have to, yeah. I won't ask you what you're looking forward to then. You'll find out.
I'm upset. I haven't looked at. I've purposely also been trying to avoid a thing, but I get fed because of all the D&D I interact with. My homepage on my, like when I open a new tab on my phone sometimes, it's like news, and it's like there was like a clickbaity title of like new cleric changes are causing whatever, and I'm like, what have they done? And when I saw that you now have to wait till level 3 to get your domain.
Right.
That upset me greatly.
Like wizards now. Wizards get their thing at level 3, don't they? Level 2. Bards get it at level 3. Yeah, right. Oh,
This is an
interesting.
injustice.
Yeah.
Wizards.
Yeah.
I mean, Wizards of the Coast, not wizards as a class. This is an injustice. Sure, I get it. You have to nerf clerics because they're so great.
Right.
I think for me, like, I've spent 6 years building up the reputation as someone
Yeah.
who knows all of the rules.
Yeah. I
And
mean, we
then
just go, hey, Mike. No, I do that anyway. Hey, Mike. I don't know. Mike?
A spellcaster with a bonus action is especially swift, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But now it's going to be, I don't know, I guess I'll have to look it up. So, no, I'm not looking forward to the new rules, but I'm sure with time it will be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been paying any attention either. I am excited. Apparently the new book is written well, like, and readable. So I'm excited to be able to pick it up and like read it and not as a reference book. So that seemed like an exciting thing to me.
Someone's told, well, Robert has told me, based on what he's seen, for those who don't know, Robert is a former admin DM of Melbdal. Also, besides probably the other, like, Robert, what are the rules?
Oh gosh, yeah.
And he was telling me it's very for players, it's very good. Very player friendly, very what have you.
That's what I read when I also open up my phone and the page is full of D&D stuff.
But as a DM, I'm kind of not looking forward to the new changes, especially with like how monsters do spells and stuff like that.
I wouldn't know.
This has been okay.
Okay, like from Tasha's onwards, there has been a new design kind of shift towards spell-like abilities instead of spells and things like that. So that I kind of get that side of things, but like even Book of Many Things and stuff like that, I don't know, no idea. Like I'm so behind the times on that kind of stuff.
So much. This role, I've been playing other systems with I haven't been running them, just been playing. This system is like big and complex, and there's a lot of detail, which is why I often need to say, how does D&D work? Okay, that's all our sentient questions. I think that's all the questions on the stream. So, do you have any last questions or comments for each other? You don't have to.
I feel like
so I should ask.
I feel like I must ask, and this may be putting you on the spot. How did the thing come up behind us without us noticing?
It came down the other end of the sewer.
Was it just patrol? Is the intent that it was like patrolling the sewers, or just like?
They are not actually patrolling. They are more like
Lost?
Imagine Victor. Victor still managed to retain a little bit of his humanity. Yeah, he can still speak. He can still talk. He can still understand what you're saying when you speak to him. But this creature is more like an Victor, and then keep
just realised I missed a
generate.
Yeah.
And lost.
Yeah.
More like becoming like really truly a monster.
Yeah.
So it's more like a creature or a beast that been lost in the sewers. Just
Okay.
I just realised that in trying to weave my way through the questions and make sure they came out in a sequence that made sense, I missed one. There was a question from the audience, which was, I love the spooky lab, but I can't help wonder what exactly they were cooking in the cauldron.
Is that something you can answer, or is that a mystery?
it's a mystery.
It's a mystery.
Goo.
Yeah, it's
Acidic goo.
acidic goo.
All right.
This is why Edgy
Good
should have
scenery.
tasted it.
Oh, yeah, right.
Then we would have found out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we'll find some acidic goo in another adventure that Edgy can try. Yeah, that sounds good. Zina's remembering that. So we will wrap up. Thank you very much for being here tonight and answering all those questions. Thank you, Johan, for coming and telling us about the adventure that you wrote. Thank you for letting me run it. I'm glad I didn't quite destroy it. We are back on the 20th of August. So we're skipping a week. We've got a break next week and we'll be back with an adventure called Monsters. Monsters is written by Jason Lee, isn't it? It is Jason's, isn't it? Yeah. So it's written by Jason Lee. Ari will be our DM that week. And we come back with players, Vic with Cav, Siobhan with Ven, Brendan with Liara, and me with Zina, is who you'll see in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, Twitchers, for joining us.
Is that genuinely what it's called? I don't know.
Say it. I could say it. I mean, they're probably not called Twitchers, but watchers, whatever.
Twitches make me think of...
Bird watchers.
No, twin witches. Twitches. No?